Hello students, this is your economics teacher INR. I hope you are well and utilizing the time wisely.
In the previous class, you learned about the meaning of human wants and its characteristics, classifications of goods, the law of diminishing marginal utility and the law of Yuki marginal utility. Today, you are going to learn about the consumer surplus, meaning of demand and the law of demand. Please watch this video very carefully till the end. Fine. Let us enter into the topics. First, you are going to learn about consumer surplus. Student, take the page number 31. Consumer's surplus. The concept of consumer surplus was originally introduced by classical economists and later modified by Juans and Jules Pipit, the French engineer economist in 1844. But a most refined form of the concept of consumer surplus was given by Alfred Marshall. This concept is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility. Consumer surplus is experienced in commodities which are highly useful but relatively cheap. For example, newspaper, salt, matchbox, postage stamp, etc. For these commodities, we are ready to pay more than what we actually pay if the alternatives is to go without them. The extra satisfaction of a consumer derives is called consumer surplus. Suppose a consumer wants twice a shirt, he is willing to pay rupees 250 for it, but the actual price is only rupees 200. Thus, he enjoys a surplus of rupees 50. This is called consumer surplus. Definition: Alfred Marshall defines consumer surplus as the excess of price which a person would be willing to pay a thing rather than go without the thing over that which he actually does pay is the economic measures of this surplus satisfaction. This may be called as consumer surplus. Assumptions. First assumption: Marshall assumed that utility can be measured. Second assumption: the marginal utilities of money of the consumer remains constant. Third assumption: there are no substitutes for the commodity in question. Fourth assumption: the taste, income and the character of the consumer do not change. Fifth assumption: utility of one commodity does not depend upon the other commodities. Explanation. The concept of consumer surplus can be explained with the help of some examples. Suppose a consumer wants to buy an apple. He is willing to pay rupees 4 rather than go without it, and the actual price of the apple is 2. Hence, the consumer surplus is 2, 4 minus 2. Thus, consumer surplus is the differences between the price that a consumer is willing to pay or potential price and what he actually pays. Therefore, consumer surplus is equal to what a person is willing to pay minus what he actually pay, or consumer surplus is equal to potential price minus actual price. Mathematically, consumer surplus is equal to TU minus P into Q, that is total utility minus price into quantity sold, where T is equal to total utility, P is equal to price and Q is equal to quantity of commodity. Consumer surplus is determined by the potential price of the commodity purchased and the actual price in the markets. Thus, the consumer surplus is the differences between the sum of marginal utility, that is the total utility, minus the total money spent or price multiplied by quantity purchased on the commodity. This can be illustrated by a table. The measurement of consumer surplus is illustrated in table 2.3. In the above table, we have assumed that the market price of a commodity is rupees 2, column 3. Column 2 gives the marginal utility. Marginal utility explains the price which a consumer is willing to pay for the unit of commodity. As more and more units of a commodity is purchased, the marginal utility declines. Therefore, the price which the consumer is willing to pay also decreases. The differences between marginal utility or potential price and the market price or actual price gives the consumer's surplus. Thus form the table consumer surplus for each unit is the differences between marginal utility column 2 minus market price column 3. The consumer surplus for all the units can be calculated as total utility minus the total amount spent on the commodity, that is consumer surplus is equal to rupees 20 minus 10 is equal to rupees 10. In short, in table 2.3, the consumer is willing to pay rupees 6, 5, 4, 3 and 2 for purchasing the successive units of apples. Hence, he is willing to pay our potential price total utility 20 rupees for apples. But he actually pays 10, that is 2 into 5 for getting 5 apples. Hence, consumer surplus is equal to total utility or actual price into units of commodity. Therefore, total utility minus P into Q. Therefore, 20 minus 2 into 5. Therefore, 20 minus 10 is equal to 10. The concept of consumer surplus can also be explained with the help of a diagram. In the diagram 2.3, x-axis shows the amount of demanded and y-axis represents the price. DD1 shows the utility which is the consumer derives from the purchase of different amounts of commodity. When price is OP, the amount of demanded is OQ. Hence, actual price is OPCQ, OP into OQ. Potential price or total utility is ODCQ. Therefore, consumer surplus is equal to ODCQ minus OPCQ is equal to PDC, the shaded area. Criticism. First criticism. Utility cannot be measured because utility is subjective or psychological concept. Second, marginal utility of money does not remain constant. Third, potential price is internal. It might be known to the consumer himself. Second, we will discuss the meaning of demand. Demand for a commodity refers to the desire backed by ability to pay and willingness to buy it. If a person below poverty line wants to buy a car, it is only a desire but not a demand, as he cannot pay for the car. If a rich man wants to buy a car, it is demand, as he will be able to pay for the car. Thus, the desire backed by purchasing power is demand. The demand for any commodity mainly depends on the price of that commodity. The other determinants includes price of related commodities, the income of consumer, taste and preference of consumers, and the wealth of the consumer. Student, take the page number 33, meaning of demand. Demand is essential for the creation, survival and profitability of a firm. Demand in economics is the desire to possess something and the willingness and the ability to pay a certain price in order to possess it. J. Harvey. Demand in economics means desire backed up by enough money to pay for the good demanded. Stonier and Ague. Characteristics of demand. Price. Demand is always related to price. Time. Demand always means demand per unit of time, per day, per week, per month or per year. Markets. Demand is always related to the market, buyer and sellers. Amount. Demand is always a specific quantity which a consumer is willing to purchase. Demand function. Demand depends upon price. This means demand for commodity is a function of price. Demand function mathematically is denoted as D is equal to functions of P, where D is equal to demand, F is equal to function, P is equal to price. Thirdly, we will discuss law of demand. The law of demand stated that there is a negative or inverse relationship between the price and quantity demanded of a commodity over a period of time. Thus, the law of demand stated that people will buy more at lower prices and buy less at higher prices. Other things remains the same. The law of demand was first stated by Augustine Cornet in 1838. Later it was refined and elaborated by Alfred Marshall. Definition. Alfred Marshall stated that the greater the amount sold, the smaller must be the price at which it's offered. in order that it may find purchasers, or in other words, the amount demanded increases with the fall in price and diminishes with the rise in price. The law of demand says as the quantity demanded increases with a fall in price and diminishes with a rise in price. Marshall. The law of demand stated that people will buy more at a lower price and buy less at higher prices. Other things remains the same. Paul Samuelson. According to Ferguson, the law of demand is that the quantity demanded varies inversely with the price. Assumptions of law of demand. First assumption, the income of the consumer remains constant. Second, the taste, habits and preference of the consumer remains the same. Third assumption, the price of other related goods should not change. Fourth, there should be no substitute for the commodity in study. Fifth, the demand for the commodity must be continuous. Sixth one, there should not be any change in the quality of the commodity. Given these assumptions, the law of demand operates. If there is a change even in one of these assumptions, the law will not operate. The demand schedule is a tabular statement showing how much of a commodity is demanded at different prices. Table 2.4 is a hypothetical demand schedule of an individual consumer. It shows a list of prices and corresponding quantities demanded by an individual consumer. This is an individual demand schedule. Explanation. The law of demand explains the relationship between the price of a commodity and the quantity demanded of it. This law states that quantity demanded of a commodity expands with a fall in price and contracts with a rise in price. In other words, a rise in price of a commodity is followed by a contraction demand and a fall in price is followed by extension in demand. Therefore, the law of demand stated that there is an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded of a commodity. In figure 2.4, x-axis represents the quantity demanded and y-axis represents the price of a commodity. DD is the demand curve, which has a negative slope, that is slope downwards from left to right, which indicates that when the price falls, the demand expands, and when price rises, the demand decreases. Market demand for a commodity. In figure 2.5, the quantity demanded by the consumer A, consumer B and consumer C are measured on the horizontal axis and the market price is measured on the vertical axis. The total demand of these three consumer, that is DA plus DB plus DC is equal to D. D is the market demand curve, also slopes downwards just like the individual demand curve. Like normal demand curve, it is convex to the origin. This reveals the inverse relationship. The market demand curve for a commodity is derived by adding the quantum of demanded of a commodity by all the individual consisting the markets. In the diagram given above, the final market demand curve represents the addition of the demand curve of the individual A, B and C at the same price. When price is 3, the market demand is 2 plus 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. When the price is 1, the market demand is 6 plus 8 plus 8 is equal to 22. As in the case of individual demand schedule, market demand curve is at a price, at a place, at a time. Next, determinants of demand. First, determinants of demand. Changes in taste and fashions or taste and preference of the consumers. Demand for a commodity may change due to change in taste, preferences and fashions. For example, the demand for dhotis have come down and demand for trouser cloth and jeans has gone up due to the change in fashion. In short, the demand for some goods and services is very susceptible to change in taste and fashions. Second, change in weather. Demand for a commodity may change due to change in climate conditions. For example, during summer, demand for cool drinks, cotton cloth and air conditioner will increase. In winter, demand for woolen cloth increases. In short, an unusually dry summer results in an increase in the demand for cool drinks. Third, taxation and subsidy. If fresh taxes are levied or the existing rate of taxation on commodities are increased, their price goes up. The subsidies will bring down the prices, therefore taxes reduce demand and subsidies rise demand. Fourth one, change in expenditure. If the consumers believe that the price of a commodity will rise in the future, he may buy a large quantity in the present. Suppose he expects the price to fall, he may defer some of his purchase to a future date. In short, the expectations also brings about a change in demand. Expectations of rise in price in future results in increase in demand. Fifth one, change in saving. Savings and demand are inversely related. Sixth one, state of trade activity. During the period of boom and prosperity, the demand for all commodities tends to increase. On the contrary, during time of depressions, there is a general slackening of demand. Next, seventh one, advertisement. In advanced capitalist countries, advertising is a powerful instrument increasing the demand in the market. Eighth one, change in income. When the income of the consumer increases, more will be demanded. Therefore, we can say that as income increases, other things being equal, the demand for commodity also increases. Comforts and luxuries belong to this category. In short, an increase in family income may increase the demand for durables like video recorders and refrigerators. Equal distributions of income enables poor to get more income. As a result, consumption level increases. Last one, change in population. Size of population of a country is an important determinant of demand. For instance, larger the population, more will be the demand for certain goods like food, grains and pulses, etc. When the number of consumer increases, there will be greater demand for goods. In short, the demand for goods depends on the size of population. An increase in population tends to increase the demand for goods and a decrease in population tends to increase the demand. That's all for today. We will continue in the next class. Finish the assignment by clicking the link below.